So this is our show and tell session. So like I said before, we've got 4 businesses, so we've got 4 founders and businesses, either new businesses or new products or services that they're launching. So first, a big round of applause for Sean Conroy.
Right, hello, I'm Sean Conroy from Sean Conroy Productions. I'm a videographer and motion graphics designer. And I'm currently on the NatWest Accelerator Hub, so if anybody wants to ask about that, give us a shout later. The benefit of me in the business. So basically what I want to do is just kind of take you on a little bit of a journey of kind of how I became to do the video and motion graphics, which I've been doing freelance for the last kind of 4 years, and just kind of how I got there. So I'll take you back in time a bit. So initially started as a multimedia designer a long time ago at Sage Software, which involved kind of creating everything from in-product graphics, kind of 16 pixel kind of tiny in-product graphics, to the help systems, and to the interactive product tours, which was kind of green screen, filming with actors, and then working with a copywriter to produce the kind of the product tours. I was in R&D for about 6 years. We were the only creative team in R&D, and it got to a point where we were doing more work for the brand marketing team than R&D, so eventually we moved to brand marketing, which is where the video and the animation side took off. So I spent a lot of my time kind of traveling around shooting case studies. So I worked with a photographer who was on the team and the marketing kind of expert. And we'd go into companies who were Sage customers and shoot a case study. So that would be shooting video, photography, and then taking that back to the bigger marketing team to create campaigns basically. So we'd be creating blogs, interactive banners, and a whole campaign. So we'd be on site for less than a day and kind of generate all of this content. So and that was also used within the team for producing kind of presentations for kind of this one Capital Markets Day, and this was more the motion graphic side of things. So I've done that for getting on to 17 years at Sage. I'll just kind of show you one of the examples here. So this is one of the product tours we did. So this was working with a copywriter.
Producing a VAT return shouldn't be complex or difficult.
Scripting out this.
And by using Sage One accounts, it isn't.
The full tour, which
we've made the whole process quick and easy.
Tutorial footage from the product, as well as the motion graphics on this. So I'll play a little bit of this, and then we'll move
with
on.
our 4-step guide, producing VAT returns is a breeze. Why not take a free trial to see for yourself? Once you're up and running with Sage One accounts, the valuable data needed for VAT returns is continually stored every time you create an invoice.
So these tended to be.
This means that there's no tedious data entry, as Sage One can then automatically calculate the VAT using the VAT.
But then there was a big restructure at Sage, and they decided to downscale this big team, and I left Sage and I started the kind of freelance journey, which initially was quite tough because I was kind of basically institutionalized at Sage. I lost all of those contacts and then had to kind of start networking and start building from scratch. So it was tough at first, but I gained more and more customers, and these are kind of some of the examples of the work I've been doing. And then I realised I was kind of spreading myself too thin. I was trying to kind of do this type of video or a different type of video, kind of getting more, bringing more people involved. It was too much as a kind of freelancer. So I took a step back and looked at the customers I was getting. And I think because of the Sage experience, I was getting tech, software companies, and digital people. So because of that, I decided to change my offering basically and look at a kind of video-first approach. So having spoken to customers, I'd ask them, you know, what do you want from me? They came back and just said video. I said, well, what else do you need? What are your pain points? And they said, you know, the video isn't enough. We need more content. We'll put this on social media. It's kind of chewed up and it's gone. So they wanted more content, and it was basically what I was delivering at Sage, but that was part of a wider team. So I looked at this kind of video first approach, which is they decide, I sit down with them, consult, see what type of video they want, and then look at how we can take that video and slice it and dice it to give them as much content as possible. So for instance, for case studies, we shoot the video, we can add in photography, and then afterwards I work with a copywriter to create blogs. She creates a blog and then creates a number of tweets, and then we're adding the photography, and then we're adding the animation, and then we can also kind of do soundbite edits from the video. So the video will produce the main video, 3 or 4 soundbite edits, animated video, and this is kind of spread across their social channels. So whether they're using Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, the whole plan's put together. So this is an example customer I've been working with, a company in Newcastle that do software for housing associations. So I've shot so far about 5 case studies for them, and this provides so much content, like up to 25 pieces of content from every video. So they're kind of creating the soundbite edits, the blogs and everything. So the approach is, so this is an example of one of theirs. So this is a conference video. So the idea of showing this is taking content that's been shot by all the case studies and creating fresh content. So none of this content was created for this video, it was from the 5 case studies that have been shot previously. And then combine the photography to create animations.
Pretty clear early on that their roadmap and their aspirations aligned closely with ourselves from the start.
As soon as we look at the system, actually, I think this is what we need, this is what we're about.
People are understood the housing market, whereas a lot of the others, they were just an IT specialist.
And that became very clear that actually, you know, this was a partner we could work with for.
So basically what I've done is I've took a step back, I'm on the Accelerator Hub, and I've decided to rebrand because I'm now working with copywriters, drone pilots, and this kind of wider network of people. So now I'm creating a lot more content. So next month I'm rebranding the Supermoon Media, and this is a show reel. That is my current site, but hopefully next month I will relaunch this with new media. So in summary, I'm finding that businesses aren't just wanting video anymore, they're wanting kind of the whole package. They want as much value from video as possible. So this is what we're trying to do, kind of adding value wherever possible, whether that's kind of creating kind of bespoke videos where they can change certain elements, or helping them create their own content. So for that example, their Orchard, they now get me in-house to train them so they can create quick turnaround videos. So then they've kind of got a lot of content kind of at the bottom level, and then I create the kind of higher level content. So with another company, Pulsant, I've been working with them to create tours of their data centers. So again, it's looking at how they can get value. So rather than me train as a drone pilot or get a local drone pilot to go to the site in Milton Keynes, I've teamed up with a drone operator in Cambridge who will go and shoot the tours, upload the footage, and then I edit it. So they're getting, it's the whole kind of concept now with the Supermoon is me teaming up with key specialists in certain fields. So that's just what I wanted to talk through.
Okay. I don't think we can do any questions just so we can, because we've got quite a few to wrap up. Are you sticking around?
Yes, I'm sticking around.
Yeah, okay, and you probably saw the little animation started with Sean.
Yes.
I've done the animation for that, but we used to work together at
Yes.
Sage as well. So the Sage 1 video you saw there, so I was the social media, inbound marketing social media specialist for Sage, and Sean was the videographer and animator there, and we've had some fun doing some interesting videos here in Newcastle and also over in Ireland and other places. So he is a fantastic person to work with, so if anyone is looking for video animation, highly recommend it. So, right. Thanks very much. Okay.
Thanks very much.
So next up we're going to have Anton. So Anton Davis from AdSmart from Sky. So a big round of applause from Anton. I'll just load up his presentation.
So I look after local development team for AdSmart, which is a Sky platform across the Midlands and the North regions, of which Chris looks after the North East. And AdSmart, some of you in the room will know what it is from Chris, and some of you are pretty new and don't know what it is, but it's a targeted TV platform that allows advertisers to be very specific about who they deliver a TV ad to. So as Sean touched upon, he's making content now that is for multiple use. It's not just for social or as a kind of informative video. There are TV adverts that are being made from the same content. So what we'll start off with is we were 5 years old about 4 months ago. You've been here since the start, haven't you, Chris? So Chris has been here since we were born. And to celebrate that, we had a kind of show reel made to show exactly what AdSmart is about and a little success story. Am I pressing the wrong way? Yeah, the wrong way around. As you'll find out, me and technology don't mix.
Yeah.
You are dealing with something that has never occurred on this planet before.
No one knows where the story is going.
I'd be lying if I said TV hasn't changed things for me. Be 255, please. I just wish I'd done it sooner.
Everything is awesome.
We've got home advantage.
Looks like it's going to be a vintage year for the business.
We always assumed that TV advertising was way out of our budget. We had over 35% growth every single KPI that we have were at record levels for that month. It is probably the single most effective use of our marketing budget that we've had since the company began.
So Andy there, he's got a business in Norwich, and he started with us about 3.5 years ago. He had about 3 teams working for him installing heating, and he was kind of in that phase of print wasn't working anymore, and he was looking for something else. So we kind of took a punt with some animation that he'd have done, had an advert put together, gave us £3,000 and ran for the first month 3.5 years ago. And now he's got about 18 teams that are working for him across the whole of Norfolk. And he's gone from a season ticket holder, as he told me a couple of months back, He was a season ticket holder 3.5 years ago at Norwich City Football Club. Now he's one of the main sponsors. So it's kind of changed his life in terms of building his brand, building his business in his local area. So in terms of AdSmart and what it is, I'm just going to give a quick recap and then we're going to go through some kind of data that we use, and it brings AdSmart to life and how you can target specific households. So we've got 12.5 million households that subscribe to Sky across directly, Virgin, TalkTalk and BT. And we've got tons and tons of content that people actually sit and watch. You don't subscribe to Sky to watch ITV or other channels that you can get on Freeview. You pay to watch the content or the sport or the events that we put together. Data is a key part of AdSmart. Traditional TV, you just take a guess at who your target market is and what they might be watching. With AdSmart, you kind of turn that on its head. You say, I need to speak to mothers with children aged 2 to 4. I need to speak to single males. I need to speak to business owners. I need to speak to people who buy these specific products. And that's the data we're going to go through today. And then the technology to you and me is a box that puts a picture on the screen, lets us record things and tells us what's on. To Sky, it's an ad server. So what you won't know is there are adverts on that box that are specifically for your household that play within the ad breaks. And this kind of next bit is going to explain how that works. So each night we collect data and we send data and send ads to the boxes. And depending on your household makeup, those adverts will sit there and they're specifically for your household. And the only way you would know if you were seeing something different to your neighbour, if you walked out into the garden and both looked in through each other's window. In this case, you've got an affluent family on the left who used to book their holidays with Thomas Cook. They can't book with Thomas Cook now. It's that time of year, so Thompson's are going to advertise to them a family holiday. On the right-hand side, the lady's about to move. She's 3 weeks away from moving. The last thing you think of is home insurance. So trust me, if you are moving in that last month of moving, you will see Churchill every single day of the week. It won't be in your way. So it seamlessly sits over the top, and you wouldn't know you were being targeted. So it's non-intrusive, and the data that we use is non-intrusive. We're quite selective who we use for data and who we partner up with. So in terms of the data partners that we have, we've got our own data. So what you watch, what you buy, the packages, where you are, the kind of different relationships we have with you, if you're broadband, what speed of broadband, if you're mobile with us, what mobiles you have and various other things. But the main data we use is Experian, but we've got other third parties there. So in terms of Experian, I thought Experian were a credit reference agency. And it's only when I started with Sky, I started to realise how much of a footprint we leave behind us in everyday life. And Experian capture a lot of that. So they kind of know where we live, the type of house we live in, our family makeup, our financial strategies, have we got pets, the types of cars that we drive. And that data is invaluable to our advertisers because it helps them hone in on the people that they really want to speak to and index highly for buying their products. We've then got things like MasterCard. Now we're going to add Visa to this. So when you go and shop somewhere, it doesn't tell us what you've bought, but it tells us where you've bought it. So if you go to Tesco's, we know you've been to Tesco's and you shop at Tesco's, but we don't know what you've bought. If you go to TUI, we know you've bought a holiday or flights. If you go to Topshop, we know you've been buying clothes. And there's various different categories where we can hone in on purchase habits. And we only put the top 20% of frequency and spending there. So when you target through MasterCard and Visa data, it is those people who spend more often or spend more on a specific product or category. Then we've got points data. So the first two are dunnhumby and Nectar. So dunnhumby is Tesco Club Card data, and Nectar is Sainsbury's, Argos, Homebase. There's quite a few retailers under the Nectar banner now. So with that, that's very specific, right the way down to if you buy Cathedral City cheese all their competitors can target you to try and convert you to another cheese. What Nectar do is they put people into, based on baskets, interests. So they've got home chefs, they've got healthy eaters, they've got various other things. So that's quite specific in terms of that household. A really clever way of using that data. And because the stockists usually have a relationship with those supermarkets, there's a lot of data that can go back into that can help us track the performance of the campaigns in terms of have the households that are being targeted changed their shopping habits. Then we've got Emma's Diaries data, and this is newborns and mums-to-be. So there are certain markets where I've dealt with a pram manufacturer who targeted, and the prams were about £1,000, so we targeted very affluent mums-to-be. And the campaign worked really well because this data is really refined. The audiences are quite small, but you're getting straight to the people who could be in the market at that time. Then Experian have got a partnership with the DVLA. So the DVLA have given Experian all the car ownership data, and they've not gone, right, okay, you drive an A4, you drive a Mini. They've kind of broke that down into sectors. So if you drive a 4x4, they put you into the SUV category, and then there are different premium, economy, and sports. So we can target households by car type, and that's new and used. So this is great data for car sales. So if this is generally a year old onwards, and some people change their car every year, every 2 years, every 3 years. So car manufacturers use this to target households based on the car that they drive. So Vauxhall, Peugeot, Jaguar, Land Rover all use AdSmart data and this data to target households. So if you do see a Peugeot ad quite a lot and it's for the wrong car, that's not our fault, that's theirs for the picking the wrong seat. Then the next kind of points, FMCG marketplace is Boots. So it's testament to the way that we use data, that we're the only third party that Boots allowed to use that Advantage card data. And again, we can target households that buy specific products. So I've had a sun lotion company target all their competitors' purchases of sun tanning products. And what that actually did was it increased their sales year on year by 48%. But not only that, these as kind of retailers, they hold the stockists to ransom a lot of the time, and they'll give them a bottom position on the shelf so you don't see them. It's raised them from bottom to top shelf, and they didn't have to pay any extra for that, just purely off the back of it, built the brand, and it helped them get into households that they would never be able to get to through normal TV because they couldn't afford it. Then we have game data. So any gamers in here? So if you collect points at game, there's a full set of data right the way down to the type of games you buy. So Call of Duty, the makers of Call of Duty use it a lot to target people who bought the previous game. Or I've got a software company who built a game just purely for the Nintendo Switch. So they target households that have got Nintendo Switches and buy through the App Center. So it's really powerful data, but it makes sure there's no wastage. The biggest thing with advertising is advertising to people who aren't interested or have no interest in your product or what you do. So this kind of takes it down in terms of right the way down for local advertisers. You can have a very small budget and you can advertise very locally. You can go right the way down to Sunderland or Newcastle. You can go up to postcode level. You can go up to regional level, or you can go all over the UK. But even at UK level, there are advertisers like McLaren where they only go into 61,000 homes across the whole of the UK. 20CI is our home mover data. So this is really interesting in that I didn't realise when I registered on Zoopla for updates on homes coming on the market that I went into the 20CI database. I didn't realise that when I go to an estate agent and I ask for updates, I go into this database. I then go into various different stages. So at that point, I'm considered looking at moving. Then when I put my house on the market, I'm going into wanting to move. Then there's sold subject to contract. There's nothing definite even at that point. So it is sold subject to contract. Contracts exchanged and move date, move in now and then post move. And this date is valuable to lots of different sectors. There's obviously the home builders and the estate agents, but then there's things like furniture. Now I'm a seasoned mover, I know to go and buy furniture 12 weeks before I move because sofas don't just turn up the day you buy them. My son found out that when he went to buy his sofa a week before he moved in, that he'd have to go and get some deck chairs to sit on for a few weeks in his new house. But furniture companies will use 20CI to target people about 12 weeks before they move in, and then that's 3 months after they've moved in. New cars. That first 3 months after we move in, there's a high percentage of people that buy a new car, which again surprised me until my son did exactly that. He had car envy. His next door neighbour, who was the same age, he had a little Corsa and his mate had a BMW. So he went and got finance and got himself a car that was of equal status. Now the problem he's got is that next door neighbour's upgraded again and he can't afford to keep up with it. So 20CI is really powerful, and again it's really small audiences because it's highly targeted. You can be very specific over who you reach. The great thing about AdSmart though is it's trackable. So in a digital world, we work a lot with digital agencies because there are strategies that are built around social and digital targeting, and that's trackable. So our platform's trackable as well. We have a record of every single house that's seen the ad, how many times they've seen it, and then the customer has data of everyone they've sold to. By sharing the first line of address and postcode, we can do a data matching process. Any other data you want to provide us with, we'll build an evaluation that tells you how many sales were generated from that, what was the average value, what was the total value, what was the cost per acquisition. And this is really key to the success of going forward in terms of building this into a strategy and what works well together. Is AdSmart the right channel? How much is it actually costing me and what is it giving me back? And this is something that TV's never had. It's kind of that, put your finger in the air, did it work? Well, I feel a little bit busier. Whereas now TV's in a place where we can prove. And that is AdSmart and third-party data. Any questions for anybody?
As a videographer, can I create a video for a client and basically use you to then promote ads?
Yes.
I'd like more in-depth conversation.
Yeah,
later on.
For creative, it's great because you might have a core audience, but within that core, you might have two different messages. You can actually separate that audience and deliver them different messages. So the creative side of things, you can make very specific adverts rather than a generic.
Is there a technical specification you need to adhere to can you get the ads onto TV?
4K, that Chris will have a spec sheet. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's the same spec that most are using for social. That tends to be acceptable. But as long as it's in 4K, it's very Clearcast approved, because that's the key. That's the biggest challenge for any advertiser. There's this Clearcast hurdle that you have to get across, which protects you and us from the Advertising Standards Agency, and it can be pretty picky over some of the content in the ad and you substantiating it or making claims that aren't true.
How long does it take?
The creative process.
Like getting through the getting the.
Depends on the production companies. They can do things in a month, start to finish, produce.
Not the production, but actually, let's say I have a creative, a week.
About a week at most.
How do I know the size of the audience, the potential audience? Like when I go through like the configurator, let's say of targeting.
Yeah.
Will you give me like an approximated?
Yeah. So what Chris does in the Northeast is he will speak direct to advertising agencies. He will take a brief. He will build sort of options for you, and you'll see what the target audiences look like, how many times we're going to reach them, how many of them we're going to reach, and what that looks like in terms of commercials.
My question was about advertising. So you can see, I'm just wondering, as somebody who might want to use your service, what affordances do I need to have in place, or what affordances do you give to ensure that any material passes the advertising safety agency?
So a production company will guide you through that. A production company that's used to working with TV will know, and when they take a brief from you, they'll say, yeah, you can't say that, or yes, you can say that, or this is how we'll display this. Finance is always a difficult one, but obviously finance ads do get on air. Claims, you can't really say we're the best unless you genuinely are the best, but that substantiation is, you would have to get all the review sites and be #1 on them all, but then you would have to have that reviewed every week to prove you're still there. You know, Carlsberg are the best at getting away with that, with probably. You know, there's lots of advertisers that have found ways around those claims that are made. But a good production company, and lots of them, sort of all over the country, that, you know, worked in social, worked in creative. Once they kind of get their heads around the Clearcast process, it becomes easy to guide you as a client.
All right. Okay. Big round of applause for Anton. Are you sticking around for the lunch or not? Oh, Chris will be here, won't he? Yeah. Okay. So if anyone's got any more questions, but one of the things you are keen to do is meet creatives, you know, agencies, and anyone that can do that side of things. There's a few in the audience, I know, definitely. Okay. Right. Next up, I'd like to big round of applause for Gilbert. I'm going to load up his presentation. So Gilbert Corrales is going to talk about Leaf Grow. So big round of applause for Gilbert.
Kind of in theme with the previous presentation a little bit.
You think someone would behind this, you know?
I know. Hi, my name is Gilbert. I'm the CEO of Leaf. Leaf started as a music company, and we didn't have any marketing experience in the team when we started. We only had product people in it, and so we were part of the original Ignite, and kind of like part of the stuff that you go through it is that you need to launch and you need to prove and you need to grow, and you need to kind of prove that what you have and what you're doing actually has legs. We had the product, and then, you know, when the product was ready, we put it on the App Store and we say, right, now what? Right, like, how do you get customers, right? How do you track that? And we went around the network, and nobody knew, nobody had launching apps before. Despite the fact Helga, who's the VP of engineering, she was the lead iOS engineer for Grindr, one of, at the moment, you know, it was one of the biggest apps in the world. We never cared about how to do it, right? Like, that was somebody else's responsibility, right? So we kind of took it to ourselves to learn marketing and to learn how to do it, despite the fact that we were not marketers, we were engineers. So we kind of took a very data approach to it, and you start learning, and you start running, and you start experimenting, you started writing a lot of code for marketing, which is not the typical thing that you do. And that's kind of like how it took us to kind of like where we are. 14 months ago, we pivot from being one of the fastest growing music companies in Latin America, that's where it grew a lot, to actually becoming a marketing platform. And, you know, I'll tell you a little bit kind of like what we've learned in the process of doing that. So in this journey of the music, both Facebook and Twitter reached out to us to kind of learn what we were doing, because our results were quite far ahead of what a lot of other people were doing. It was also interesting to see the approach of both companies. Twitter wanted to kind of like break around the algorithms that we were writing, whereas Facebook kind of like embrace it. Twitter wanted to write a case study on us, but they didn't let them because our results were 40 times better than anybody else. They thought that they were putting a case study out there, it will kind of like drain on all the other people that were spending a lot more money than us. Whereas Facebook did, and he actually embraced us, took us over to Palo Alto for a couple of months to actually learn more and how we could actually do more of that. And on the 14 months, we went from music to actually now powering everything from e-commerce to creators to celebrities to brands and high street companies. So these are some of the companies that, or brands, that actually make use of Leaf Grow as a platform and some as a service. So you can see, you know, like Bear Grylls, we started with him pretty much from scratch, from zero, to now generating quite a lot of money in merchandising. We have Pizza Express, Food Asylum, we have the locals like End, locals, I mean they're global, but you know, they're based here. Through music and through some of the stuff there. Right now, kind of like the makeup of our customers are about 70% commerce and about 40% music. And in many ways, what we did is taking that kind of like engineering approach and doing a lot of this multi-variant approach, but do it in a scale. And do it in a way that actually there is somebody else doing the heavy lifting for you, and then understanding kind of like what your different variables that make up your targeting actually work. So you want to understand kind of like what your audience looks like and how can you gather to them. You know, once you go to the big boys, right, like Sky, and like once you go offline, what you want to know is, you know, what your audience is actually made of. And more often than not, especially coming out from music, the people that, you know, the artists have as their core fans, you know, more often than not, are very different to reality, right? Like fans have this, you know, kind of like utopia look of what their fans look like, when reality is completely different. And in a lot of cases, brands actually go through the same thing. Sometimes the people that you're selling is not actually the people that you're buying for, and you know, it's understanding those nuances that are key. So Leaf Grow actually allows you to do this in a very simple way. It abstracts about 80% of the complexity of running your digital advertising. So whether you know about digital advertising or not, if you don't know, then the platform will actually make decisions on your behalf, kind of like increasing the chances of success of your campaigns. And if you know, it actually kind of like scales up the type of things that you could do. So in many ways, what I wanted to do today, rather than kind of like sell you on Leaf, and you can go on the website and learn a little bit more about that, I wanted to kind of like share some of the experiences or best practices that we've learned. So this kind of presentation is called Calling the Bullshit on Facebook and Instagram advertising. So that's, it's going to be a lot of emojis on this. So that's kind of like what we want to do today, right? Kind of like share some of our knowledge and, with you. Long gone are days of, you know, like the Madison Avenue type of creators, right? Where they will sit down, right, think, and they come up with, you know, like the best over campaign that is going to take over the world, right? There are still some brands that can afford some of this stuff, but that's more about brand standing and brand awareness, and it's more about the build-ups like Nike or Dove and things like that. But it's actually not for living or for delivering results. At the end of the day, you want to become an experimentator, right? You want to be more on the point of view that you are actually experimenting, you are learning what your audience looks like, you're learning what your actually USPs are that resonate with your audience. And then from that, you know, like you need to start thinking, right? How do I actually get to that? Right now, whether you're Justin Bieber, Nike, McDonald's, or the shop down the street, you're all competing around the same space, right? At the end of the day, you're competing for attention. You're in attention economy, and you want to understand how do you get to the right people at the right time with the right message. And it's kind of like what that experimentation looks like. Now, tracking is super important for this. And you don't need to capture all this personal identifiable information for you to actually make the sense of it. You know, something as simple as making sure that all of your different touch points have the right tracking put in place. Not so that you can track people in a kind of like creepy kind of way, which I was a bit worried about the things that, you know, that we saw in the presentation before, but at the end of the day, that's reality, right? That's today. It is our job to make the most out of it, to be able to make the most out of our offering and find the right people. So for those that don't know, Pixel is one, you know, little cookie that you put kind of like on your site, but it's connected to your own account. And in many ways, this is not only first-party data that you're, you know, gathering for yourself, but it also matches with a lot of the other things that are happening around. And it actually allows you to give you analytics about how people react and how people actually perform things or actions within your products, but also in this case digital, But it also allows you to backtrack and actually put a view together now with offline conversion events. So you can now track, say, an ad that somebody's viewed on a website all the way to purchase on a store. So once you have the purchase data, you can actually, kind of like feed it back, and then you actually can do full attribution of this. And you're able to actually tap into this, which is something like, the gentleman before it, we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, you want to understand which channels are delivering you the results, and which ones are working and which ones are going. And so, one of those ways is, like to put this, there is this tool called a Pixel Helper. Just put it on your website. It's a Chrome plugin, or you can put it on your browser, and it will be interesting as you browse around different websites. Look at how, what are the touch points that they're tracking. Look at, what are the data that they're tracking, and I think you can get a lot of inspiration out of it and see how it actually, how you can model a lot of this to your offering. So at the end of the day, knowledge is power, and that's kind of like what you want to get to, right? It's understanding your audience, understanding what type of things resonate with the most. Being able to kind of like work through those things is key. You need the process. But this is kind of like our own product, even though it looks quite complex. At the end of the day, what you care is about these two bits over here: customer acquisition and customer retention. More often than not, customer acquisition is the part that you do with your advertising. Customer retention is what you do with your actual offer. But both of them kind of go hand in hand, because you want to make sure that as you're acquiring people and you understand your LTV, your lifetime values, you understand all those unit economics that make up your business, that you have kind of like a virtual circle working through that. At the end of the day, you start with a strategy. You need to know kind of like what you're optimizing for, what are your objectives, depending on the stage of what your company is or what your brand is. You then make sure that you have the right tracking elements to be able to optimize for a lot of those things. Then you go to campaign creation, and this applies just as much as to us as to kind of like services like Sky or anything out there, because at the end of the day, you need to kind of have this information so that you can optimize for the right things. And at the end of the day, you're going to be learning about what works and what doesn't, so you can iterate on that. I think doing things like what Sean we're showing earlier, which is where you get a piece of content and then you can actually break it down in different formats and lengths, and understanding what are the best type of things are key to this. And at the end of the day, you want to understand who your key personas are in your that make up for your customers, right? Because then you can start targeting, and then you start modeling and personalizing that message to them. At the end of the day, you want to be able to get to the right people with the right message, despite the fact that your key personas might vary. And at the end of the day, you want to use your assumptions as your anchor, not as your target. And in many ways, the reason for this is because if you go very narrow, kind of like narrow too soon, you're not proving anything other than you can target the people that you want to target. You want to make sure that you keep those hypotheses in sight, that you actually start with that hypothesis, with that assumption, and then you kind of like build yourselves towards that. And then more often than not, you will be surprised, as I said, in kind of the type of result that you might get, and then you can adjust accordingly. And you want to widen those those audiences at first, rather than going, oh, I know who my customer is. He's male, 25 to 34, and then they're out of these 3 countries, and they're on Instagram, and that's where I'm going to focus. Sometimes it's worth opening a little bit more and saying, well, actually, I'm going to target both females and males, maybe widen a little bit, 20 to 40. I'm going to open it up a little bit more on a geographic point of view, but I'm also going to target Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. Most people think that Facebook is dead and that like only the grandpas are there and all this, but you will be surprised more often than not where the results are going to come from. So don't try to kind of like pre-optimize for your results. Let the results optimize themselves. And as I said, it is all an experimentation. It's all about what you can get. At the end of the day, you will think that a lot of these things are fake, or but cool is not always the best, right? And also like cool is not always what is going to drive the fakes, right? I mean, awareness. You can get a lot of the you know, a lot of the clicks and a lot of the likes and a lot of that and no results, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be optimizing for results, and you know, it's key. And at the end of the day, you know, that's what is going to drive you the main results, right? At the end of the day, whether that's awareness, what you want to do, or brand building, but you know, at the end is what that key result. And you know, there are things that you can use like interest targeting, similar to kind of like what we were talking about in the presentation before, about, you know, understanding kind of like what are the drivers of the people in it. Sorry. And you know, how do you actually are able to use some of that? So this is a framework that we created internally called the Interest Targeting Crucible. So it's actually a tool that allows you to kind of like brainstorm what your audience looks like. So there are different things like cultural touch points, like demographics, like things like, you know, like the example of, you know, are they moving out or not? And, you know, magazines, similar brands, you know, competitors and things like that, that actually helps you broaden your view of what a targeting interest might look like. We have different targeting frameworks depending on your verticals, whether it's music, commerce, or others. I'm happy to share some of this as a spreadsheet, but I think it's something that allows you to do that, to kind of like focus on that. And then comes content, right? Like you want to focus on that brand building, right? Cool brands are good, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it sells, right? But you want to make sure that you open, right? A lot of people, you know, like want to trial before videos or images, right? And everybody, you know, even Facebook says videos are best, but you will be surprised. You want to be trying, you know, both of them and see what your audiences, you know, will select. The same goes, right? A lot of people go, it's like, oh, I just want to go with stories, right, on Instagram. And, you know, you just want to focus on that. Again, right, don't pre-optimize your placements. You want to make sure that, you know, that you give the opportunity for that. At the end of the day, product drive awareness, brand gives money, and free or offers are a very good first hook. Again, you know, it's understanding what is the difference between customer acquisition and customer retention. A lot of people think that by giving an offer, you're cheapening your product, but at the end of the day, you need an incentive to get people in. And then once you have them in, it is your job to kind of like keep it retained. Once they actually experience the product is where you want to kind of like start focusing. So understanding the difference between acquisition and the tools that you have available to yourselves, so that you only focus on those things up front is key. And probably one last thing is, you know, a lot of people tend to run campaigns in short bursts, and you know, it's kind of like an on and off type of thing. So we have customers who run campaigns for 2 weeks, and you know, you have to understand, at least in digital media and social media, there is a lot of learning that has to go on before the algorithms actually start to find the right people to target. So sometimes, and that's time-based, I mean, depending on the money, we always tell people to start slow with little money so that you can actually stretch the algorithms to actually find the right people towards your objective. And as you start getting the algorithms trained, then you can start broadening the budgets up, and you know, you can scale those things. But you know, especially if you're a brand, and especially if you're e-commerce, you're always on, right? Whether, you know, you're building up towards Black Friday, or like the holiday season, you can use all of those low moments to actually be honing into your audiences, understanding what your audiences are like, so that when those key moments come in and you're prepared to kind of like scale up budgets, then you already have done all the pre-work, you have done all your homework of sorts, and then you can make the most out of the budgets that you have. And that's kind of like where we are, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, right? And that's kind of like the end bit that you have to come in, right? Marketing is not a one-off. You're not going to have an overnight success, although there are the cases. What you're doing is you're building, you're running a marathon, right? You're preparing for it, and you know, you have to take your view. At the end of the day, your business, and you know, like what everything that we do is, it's not, you know, like step by step, and taking it as it builds up. And that's kind of like what we've learned a little bit. Obviously, it's delivered in a short period, just to make up for this, but I mean, I hope that some of this kind of resonates with what you're doing, right? At the end of the day, if there is anything that you can take home, is make sure that you're tracking, make sure that you have very clear objectives of what you want to get. You know, most people think that, you know, clicks are or likes, or, you know, engagement is the thing. At the end of the day, you have to be very clear about what objectives you're trying to drive up, and And everything that you do is an experimentation towards driving that up, figuring the way how do you scale both vertically as you do horizontally. So at the end of the day, that's the game we're in. So thank you.
We've got time for 1 or 2 questions. No? Front? Yeah, back.
Would you recommend any places to learn how to Facebook advertise?
Yeah, so Facebook has something called the Blueprint program, which is Blueprint, which is a way, there are videos and things that you can do. Also, us as a service, we provide something that we call Platform Plus. So if you subscribe for the platform, we also offer you a plan where you get access to one of our lead gurus, we call it like team members who are certified marketing, Facebook marketers, and they will work with you for the first 3 months. So actually they will train you, so you will meet with them 1 hour per week. And they will help you kind of like structure your campaigns, your thinking, your objectives. They will help you do the audit and make sure that everything is tracking. And then because of the platform actually takes, you know, like abstracts about 80% of all the complexities, then, you know, you kind of like focus on the bits that are important rather than trying to make sense of the cockpit that, you know, Facebook Ads Manager kind of is.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if your platform or the service they offer works on like the trends basis as well. So you're talking about analytics as sort of like looking in the past kind of thing.
Yeah.
But could you talk a little bit about trend spotting or future casting, or what kind of facilities you offer?
So there is a combination of things. So one, we kind of divide the platform into 2 parts. So one is what we call campaign launching, and that's like the bit that helps you launch the campaign. The other one is insights. So we've actually built a quite comprehensive yet very simple reporting capability on the platform that actually gives you all the right metrics that you should be looking. It also allows you to kind of like merge between campaigns. So something that we call them super campaigns. So especially on, or you know, on anything, you have like your top of the funnel campaigns, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, but you want to be able to see all the campaigns as one, you know, like, because at the end of the day, it's one blended view, and you want to see how they're trending, kind of like how they're tracking. So you're able to do that and see what's working, so it allows you to kind of like have a step forward, like a step ahead of, you know, kind of like where the trends are heading. Because of the way the interest targeting works, we have this concept internally that we call super interest. So based on your performance and how you, so our platform allows you to take one interest and kind of like isolate it in itself, so that you can have several super interests kind of like working in tandem, so that you can see which ones are actually super interests in a way, and you can stack them up later. So those are very key for when you don't have an audience and you're kind of like starting from scratch, because you're essentially kind of like prospecting what your audience look like, but you really want to get to the point where you do it. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, big round of applause for you. Okay, we actually used Leaf last year. Between March and May, so we've got services, personal campaign strategists.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was really useful, because I didn't have anyone in house who actually really knew how to do Facebook advertising. So I just sit with your guys, and they managed the whole campaign and helped us get set up with the impress crucibles and actually delivered all that. So that was a really good service. So if anyone's interested, I would recommend working with this. Okay, last talk that we're going to have before lunch. So I'm going to invite up Naga Turan. So she's actually a senior Salesforce developer, but she's going to talk about something totally different. Right? So whilst I load up the presentation, big round of applause for Naga.
By the way, my slide says I'm a software consultant, because wherever I go, people don't understand what Salesforce means. They think I'm working in sales, so that's why I don't use it.
talking. Keep filming. I should have done this before, so.
No, it's okay. I can do without slides.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm from a software engineering background, so I've been working as Salesforce developer for a very long time. But 2 years ago, I felt like I was really stuck. I was unhappy, unhealthy, and living a very robotic life. And I didn't know what to do about it. I felt like I was living for the weekends, just waiting for the weekends and waiting for the holidays. And it went on for a very long time, several months. And one day I decided, enough is enough. I'm going to do something about it. So in my quest, that was the first decision I made the first time. I decided rather than just living that way. And in my quest, I found some amazing information. I found my mentor who's told me about how the mind works, and it blew me away. And I felt like, where was I all these years? What was I doing? And I was so inspired. I transformed so much. I decided to quit my job. It was a very difficult decision because until then I thought I was meant to be an employee because that was my mindset. Running a business is for some other people, you know, some talented, smart people, and not me. But because of the inspiration from my mentor, I decided to quit. And I became self-employed. And I started working on myself, on my mindset, my health, my inner well-being, most importantly than anything else. And in the process, so many things changed. And after becoming self-employed, my income doubled. I lost a lot of weight. It's not the weight, but it's the person I have become in the process that was important to me. And I started feeling more relaxed and calm inside. And most importantly, I started living rather than just existing. And I saw so much change in my own self. I decided to work with my mentor, who is Bob Proctor. How many of you know Bob Proctor? 2 hands, 3. Cool. 4 now.
Just found out about him, yeah.
Now. Bob Proctor, he's an 86-year-old guy, and he lives in Toronto. And those who are into personal development, he's a legendary guy. He has been teaching this information since over 50 years. And just like you guys, because I didn't know all about this, and I felt like, what was I doing, you know, with the way I was living, I decided I want to bring his programs locally to people near me and work with him. So from being, having this idea that I'm not meant to be, you know, running my own business, now I started a second one to work with Bob. The first one is running my Salesforce consultancy work. And this is, the second business is to run his programs. So today I just want to give an overview of what this involves. And before going, we can't see the picture. So Bob has worked with a lot of people, as I said, millions of people transform their lives through his programs. And we don't have time, so I'll just talk about one. It's Phil Goldfin. He's a producer in Hollywood. He gets personally coached by Bob Proctor. He pays a lot of money, obviously, 6 months, over $150,000, that's what Bob said, to get his services. So he has been working with him since a long time. He pays that money, but he gets a lot more out of, you know, getting coached by Bob, so he keeps coming back. And one of his goals was to win Oscar. He didn't know how, but that was his goal. He wrote down on his card. He started working on it. And we are so trained to work mechanically, but he was working on his mindset, on his beliefs. And he achieved it in 2014. That's a post I copied, took a screenshot from online social media feed. And then he went on to earn other awards, which he never thought he would do. It's all started with his mindset. So the program that I brought here locally is called Thinking into Results. There are a lot of programs, but this is a special one. And it all starts with setting goals. How many of you have goals which are very big, you don't know how to get it, you are really excited about it, but you are scared at the same time? How many of you have? There are a good number, that's great. So most people have an issue at that point itself because you don't know, if you don't know how to achieve it, most people, I think they go for the goals they think they can achieve. And even those who raise the hand, I want to challenge you and think, are these goals really big enough, or are these goals set because you think you can achieve them? Have a think later on. So why do we need big goals? Because this is where you get inspiration and this is where you grow. You don't know how to get it, but in the process you learn so much, you become a person, a different person, while achieving that goal, right? So this program, the first one is, we focus on the goals. So it's not just about hitting a goal, it's about getting clear of who is this person you will become after you achieve the goal, because the more clear you are, the more you will be moving towards it. And it all starts with a thought, whatever thought you feed, it's not just the thought, but you get emotionally involved with it, you get inspiration, you get ideas aligned with that thought, that big idea. And once you start taking action, you move towards that goal. Because we are all trained, I was one of them, and still there is some programming which makes me do those things, like we are trained to do mechanically. But if you start working through inspiration, there'll be so many new ideas that you'll get than just doing it mechanically. And this is the most valuable information that I received from Bob. It's about how the mind works. Just for our understanding, mind, it's split into two, conscious mind and subconscious mind. Conscious mind, through which you think, you get lots of, the thoughts, and you are connected to external world. You hear, taste, smell, touch, everything that's going on in the external world. And you feed into your mind, you start thinking, so it's the conscious mind. This is where you can reason, you can think, you can accept an idea that's coming from external world. If I'm talking to you, you can accept that idea or you can reject the idea. That's in your conscious mind, yeah? And in your subconscious mind, it is the emotional mind that is executing the stuff. That is the programming that you have performed. That is which is what is causing the results. Sometimes, how many of you have thought, this is what I'm going to achieve? That's a thought, consciously I thought about it, but you never done it. Why? Because you haven't programmed that yet, and you haven't executed it. And whatever is going on in the subconscious mind, that is the one that is giving you results. The way you act, the way you talk, everything is coming from the programming, how you are programmed to do things. For example, as a kid, when we were all kids, we did not have any conscious mind. We did not have the reasoning and thinking capacity. We were open, our subconscious was open. Anything going on in the external world, it's easily we absorb. That's why we learn so quickly, right? Because we are not rejecting and accepting ideas, we are just taking it whatever comes from the external world. If you grew up in a family where you are made to believe you can do anything you want, you grow up believing that you can do anything you want. If you grew up in a family where you were told money doesn't grow on tree, you have to really work hard to be successful, you believe that, and you always start working hard to get to somewhere. But hard work doesn't mean you get success. There are people who do it with ease, flow, and joy, and are successful as well. So it is everything that you are programmed to do, the way you do things, is because of the programming, the subconscious mind. And most of the programming is already done before you start consciously thinking, before you have that conscious mind is developed So everything that you do is automated, right? When you wake up, you don't even have to think you have to brush your teeth. Or maybe some people don't brush teeth in the morning, so they have a different routine, you know. I stayed with one of the girls in my last trip to Toronto to meet Bob in a conference. She had a completely different routine to mine, and I did not even think that routine was possible because of my own programming, the way I grew up. And she did not think, you know, how I was doing was the right way because of her programming, because of what she was told, right? And some of the programming is not even yours or your parents. They inherited it from someone else, their parents. So some of the beliefs that you carry are not just from one generation, it can be going back to several generations back. So everything that we do, our results and everything is based on our programming, you know, our beliefs and what we think, emotionally what we are involved with. And this is called paradigm. If you look at your results, we can say the results are dependent on external factors. You know, they are not, if you are running a business and you're not seeing, you know, people are not buying the stuff, it's easy to say people are not interested. Or whatever it is, you know, if you're in a relationship, you're not finding the right person, you may think it's people are like that. But it all starts with your image. What do you think of yourself? Do you really believe that you are worth that relationship? Do you believe that you can really get the clients? Do you believe that clients are going to come to you? Do you believe that clients are going to pay the money you're going to charge? So it all starts with the self-image. If you have a big goal, you know, everyone who raced, they have a big goal, you're going after it because the goal is here, you are here. This is your present reality. And you are going after something big, better, which is in the future. To get the ideas, to get the results of a person who is here, you need to think and feel and get emotionally involved like a person is in here. Form a self-image of a person who is in here getting the results. Then you get the inspiration and ideas as a person who is already achieving it, right? So we all have two different images. One is the external self-image, the way we talk, the way we dress, the way, you know, we show up in the world, external image. And the internal image is what we think of ourselves, what we believe in, what we think we can get. And all our results, whether we like it or not, is a reflection of our self-image. And if you want to change the results, you not need to change your internal self-image. Some of you may believe or may not believe, but that's a fact. And even, you know, people who have goals, some go and achieve it, not many do it. Why? Because we keep learning a lot of new stuff, but we don't do what we are supposed to, right? We are going after something, we are in the current, you know, our results are different now. To achieve what we want, we need to at least put some steps ahead. Then you start attracting people and all the resources that you need. But even putting those steps is difficult because of the current habits. If you're programmed to do a certain way and you're trying to do it in a different way, the habits stop. So we have a lot of information already. We don't need more information, but we have to start doing it. And for that, subconscious programming stops from us doing it. And there is a way to bridge the knowing doing gap. And this program teaches how to bridge this gap to move forward faster. This is what I was saying, you know, we have been learning a lot of information. There are smart guys, a lot of smart guys. You know, you may know people who really talked in the class and, you know, you looked up to them, but not many of those would be achieving the results they want to. Why? Because knowing is not enough. In the schools, we are taught to get the grades, but not to really implement, the information that we are learning. So if you bridge the gap, you'll see a lot of changes already. And this is the fear. When you're going after something big, it's easy to set a big goal, but while moving towards that goal, there will be obstacles, right? So first and foremost is you're programmed to do and live in a certain way, think in a certain way, based on your current results. And you're going after something big, so you are trying to install a new idea into your mind. So this is the conscious, in the conscious mind and subconscious mind, if you're not thinking of any new idea, then that's what it is, right? You are programmed to live that way. For example, when I was a Salesforce developer, just doing Salesforce, I was programmed to just think as a Salesforce developer. I was living as a Salesforce developer. I was not planning to do anything else at all. So that was my conditioning, my programming. That's what I wanted to do. And then I got inspiration, I just started learning new stuff. I thought I should bring this program to people near me. So that's a new idea. I've never done such a kind of thing. So I'm trying to install a new idea. Consciously, I'm thinking about the idea, but subconsciously, I'm still a programmer, a Salesforce programmer, still living that way. I'm emotionally involved with just being a Salesforce programmer. So I had to play with the idea for some time, being a coach, being a consultant. Over time, I got emotionally involved with this idea. Now I am a Salesforce developer. I'm still programmed to believe and do the things like Salesforce developer, but now I'm emotionally involved being a coach, mindset consultant, to what different ideas I'm involved with. So my subconscious is now confused with two ideas. I'm trying to move forward, being a coach, but there's something, old ideas that is moving me backwards. So that's a conflicting state. So this is the state where most people struggle with. They don't know what to do, it's confusing, they can't move, they are trying to move forward, but something is pulling backwards. Because of this stage, many people get scared, they move back to the comfort zone of being where they are. So for me, it could be just ditching the idea of becoming a consultant and moving back being Salesforce developer, because that's more comfortable. Even though it's not giving the results I want, I wasn't happy that way, but still that's comfortable. So most people try for some time, maybe a few months, maybe a bit longer, because they can't see any way forward, they jump back to where they started. But what if you knew that it's normal, no matter what you're doing, whatever big goal you're going for, it's still normal to have this state of mind. You acknowledge it, but you decide to move forward anyway. So once you decide, once you jump the barrier, you will be into freedom, because now I formed a new programming. Still it takes time, little bit time to work on it, but over time you have a new programming installed in your subconscious mind. Then you behave and talk and you believe in a new ideas, which is no longer where I started before. So again, because it's difficult for many people to cross that barrier, and this program teaches how to overcome it. Whenever you're going through that fear, there are exercises to overcome it and put you at ease. So this is what I was saying, you are here, where you are is here, and where you want to go is way up there, and most people are stuck where they are because of their programming, their mindset. So if you change your mindset, it's easy to move forward. And this is all not me, but what Bob teaches, and I use the program myself. As I said, like I've been doing something else, and I'm moving after somewhere else, and I have really big goals and dreams, and I want to transform people's lives. So for that, I need to change. So I use this program on myself as well. So this is an overview. There are a lot of other things like leadership and other things that are touched, but we don't have time. And I'm doing a workshop on thinking into results on Saturday, this coming Saturday. It's from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. So I'll be touching on goals and beliefs and a few other things. So here, as a thank you for being invited to speak here, I'm giving 3 free tickets away. So if anyone is interested, just give me a shout, and I'll give the tickets. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just looking. The tickets are on sale for 1 minute, so you might have to reopen that.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But if anyone does want to buy a ticket, definitely speak to Naga. But you're going to give away some free tickets as well. So grab it during the lunch break now. That previous site, I mean, I've not heard it described as a terror barrier before, but I've definitely, that's me. I've gone through that. I'm in freedom now.
Yeah, that's
I've had enlightenment, yeah. So, but for the last, I've been in business for something like 3.5 years, just over 3.5 years. So I've had, before that was probably 15 years to get me ready to start my own business. And then the last 3.5 years, there's still been parts of me that are kind of the old way, and I'm pushed through that. But last 6 months, I've been on a bit of a sort of spirituality, kind of getting more in tune with myself and what I really, really want to do. So
it's fantastic. That works, right?
Yeah. And when you were talking about that, thoughts as well. Like I've said this before, thoughts become things.
Yeah.
So if you've got a big idea and you focus on it every day, but you follow the thought with action, you make it happen.
That's so true. It happens with even
I love
negative
it.
ideas.
I believe it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, thank you very much. Okay, so that was amazing. So we're definitely grab Naga for a free ticket. First 3 people who want free tickets tomorrow morning at the Crown Plaza, isn't it? Behind the train station, 10 till 1.
Yes.
So 3 free tickets for the first 3 to grab it. And then if anyone else wants to buy one, is it 45? Yeah. So if anyone wants to buy one, I'm sure you'll reopen them.
Yeah.
But we're going to break now for lunch for about 30 to 40 minutes max. And then after that, we've got Alison from Sintons, who's going to talk about invoicing, like chasing unpaid invoices and getting paid, like debt recovery, which is a massive issue for small businesses, getting paid on time, and cash flow, really, really important topic for everyone. And then we've also got Faye, who is going to do a masterclass in social media for business as well, so please stick around for that as well. Okay, so we're going to have lunch now. Thank you very much.